What's up guys, it's Coaster Critics and Creations here. My name is Brody and today we're going to be talking about roller coasters. Wow, that was probably the stupidest fucking sentence I've ever put into one of these scripts. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about my top 15 roller coasters that I've ridden. Over the last few years, I've ridden a total of 85 roller coasters, and in 2022 I have picked up 40 new credits. Now, if you remember, I made a list of my top 10 roller coasters that I've ridden last year in 2021, but there are a couple of notable coasters from that list that did not make it to this one. And those coasters are Dominator at King's Dominion, Afterburn at Carowinds, and Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa. Also, I do want to mention that this list is only in my opinion, and all I ask is that you please kindly respect it. And if you disagree with me about some of these coasters on this list, then please leave your opinion in the comments below. All I ask is please don't be rude about it. But anyways, let's get to the list. Coming in at number 15 is Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. I think this coaster is pretty underrated in my opinion. Some people like to dump on this ride saying it's the worst RMC and that the layout is too short. Now, I do agree that the ride could have been a little longer, but I don't think this is the worst RMC. That goes to Storm Chaser, which didn't even make this list. But anyways, this ride just gives some of that classic RMC airtime that I can never get enough of. Oh, and that wave turn is incredible. Coming in at number 14 is Steel Curtain at Kennywood. This ride is very underrated. Honestly, I don't know why people hate on this ride so much. People say this is an average coaster, but I disagree. This ride exceeded my expectations. All the inversions were super fun, and the airtime moments that it had were fun too. Steel Curtain is a great ride. Coming in at number 13 is Raptor at Cedar Point. This is my second favorite invert. My favorite one is higher on this list, obviously. Raptor is very intense. I grayed out on this ride twice. One of them was from the bottom of the first drop to the 0G roll, and the other one was from the helix at the end. Also, I love how this ride is right next to the main midway. This ride is great. Coming in at number 12 is the Magnum Coming in at number 12 is Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. This is a very unique hypercoaster, and obviously it was the first hypercoaster opening in 1989. The first half of this ride is pretty good, but then there's the second half. What the actual fuck? These hills give very strong and sudden ejector airtime. All I gotta say is wow, Magnum is truly a breed of its own. Coming in at number 11 is Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. From one hypercoaster to another, this ride is very different from Magnum. This ride's first half is filled with giant camelbacks that give very good sustained floater airtime. Then there's the 540-degree downward helix. This helix is insane. It is a guaranteed gray out for me. And then you have those airtime hulls at the end that give weak flojector airtime to the entire train. This has to be one of the most bizarre B&M hypers ever built, and I mean that in the best way possible. Coming in at number 10 is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. Now, although I do think this coaster is overrated, it's still a Giga coaster, so it's pretty much guaranteed to be at least good. And Millennium Force, I'd say, is definitely more than just good. I mean, it's at the number 10 spot on my list, so like no shit, it's more than good. Anyways, Millennium Force is the perfect ride if you're not a fan of intensity, fast transitions, and ejector airtime. So basically, if you're not a fan of Intimidator 305, you'll love this ride. But anyways, I really do like Millennium Force, and I'd say this ride is pure fun. Oh, and before I move on, I gotta say, I absolutely love the station music for this ride. Coming in at number 9 is Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is the best B&M invert I've ridden by far. Montu is a very intense ride. It has whippy inversions, it dives into trenches, and it's a very long ride too. Now, I possibly need to get another ride on this since the last ride I had on Montu was in October of 2020. But anyways, I love Montu, it's amazing. Coming in at number 8 is Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion, otherwise known as Airtime the Ride. God damn, this ride has a lot of airtime. By the time you get off this ride, you'll pretty much be high off of airtime. I love this ride so much. Also, don't sleep on those inversions, especially that last 0G roll. I was out of my seat for the whole moment. I definitely recommend going to King's Dominion and riding this thing for yourself. Coming in at number 7 is Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This ride is very surprising. Don't get me wrong, I've heard of all the praise that this ride gets, but if I had to be honest, I didn't think this ride would have been the best. I didn't think the layout really looked that good, but boy was I wrong. Those bunny hills at the end make it seem like the ride is going way too fast. Oh, and how could I forget about that 228-foot drop into the ravine? Oh my god. This drop in the back row is absolutely incredible. Also, if you can, try to get a night ride on this thing. Trust me, you will not regret it. Coming in at number 6 is Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, although I only got one ride on this, I can confidently say Intamin has done it again. Not with the reliability though, that shit needs to be fixed. Anyways, the 0G winder gives great hang time. Also, that swing launch is amazing, especially with that airtime hill. My gosh, getting that strong of airtime while going backwards is really something else. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with that outer bank. It's not super powerful, but it still gives sustained floater airtime. And obviously that top hat and the stall are amazing too. But yeah, Pantheon is an amazing ride and it's the best ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Coming at number 5 is another Intimidator. This is Maverick at Cedar Point. All I gotta say is wow, this is a very intense ride. That launch in the tunnel is glorious. Wow, I've never said that in any of my videos. Oh, and that 95-degree drop is really good too. I really wish I was able to get a back row ride on this thing because that drop I feel like would have been like 5 times better. This coaster was definitely ahead of its time and Intamin did an amazing job on this one. Coming at number 4 is Lightning Rod at Dollywood. If you remember, last year I said that I thought this ride was overrated, but that was until I got a back row on this ride when it was warm and sunny. Jesus Lord, dude. This ride has some of the strongest airtime I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. This coaster was also ahead of its time. Well, no crap, this thing is unreliable as hell. Anyways, although the launch was neutered a ton, it still feels intense. That wave turn after the drop gives you around 3 seconds of strong floater airtime. Oh, and that outer bank is probably the most underrated part on the ride. This gives very strong and sustained ejector airtime. And don't even get me started on that quad down. Wow. Just wow. That's all I gotta say. Anyways, I'm gonna move on so this video isn't year long. Coming at number 3 is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. Intense. Just intense. That first turn after the drop is absolutely mental. And what's funny is that that's not even the original turn. After the 2010 season, they had Intamin come back and reprofile that first turn because too many people were blacking out. Anyways, the most underrated part of the ride, I believe, is that airtime hill after that first turn. You absolutely careen over this hill, giving strong and sustained ejector airtime no matter where you sit. And the rest of the ride is just pure bliss. I love this ride. And coming in at number 2 is Fury 325 at Carowinds. B&M knocked it out of the park with this one. Actually, no. They knocked it into orbit with this one. Fury is truly something else. And sadly, I don't know if we'll ever see something like it from B&M ever again. I love all the low to the ground elements and airtime hills. Also, that turnaround gave great sideways floater airtime, and those camelbacks actually give flowjector airtime, which I did not expect. The only real dead spot, I guess you could say, is the drawn out helix before those final airtime hills. But I think it's still good fun. This is definitely the best B&M out there by far, and I honestly don't think B&M could ever outdo Fury. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Oh my god. This ride alone explains why RMC is my favorite manufacturer. This is airtime galore. 27.2 seconds of airtime is nothing to scoff at. Some people like to say that this ride is repetitive, but I seriously don't have a problem with that. Airtime is clearly this ride's strong suit. Also, I have to mention, the airtime is good quality too. Most of it is strong ejector airtime, some of it actually being sustained for about 3 to 5 seconds. People have been saying that Iron Gwazi is better than this, and although I haven't ridden Iron Gwazi, I can confidently say that this ride will be pretty damn hard to beat. Oh, and also, did I mention that this ride is glass smooth? Steel Vengeance is an absolutely incredible ride, and seriously, you need to get your ass up to Cedar Point when you can and ride this thing over and over again. So that was my list of my top 15 roller coasters that I've ridden. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.